Hi guys, it's Charlie here with you at Rove Motorhomes at Gunthorpe, and I'm going to do the handover video now for the Autosleeper Winchcombe. Just obviously showing you a couple of bits and bobs about the motorhome that's going to help you when it comes to obviously using it yourself. Just get the keys again. Got them down here ready. So Bob cab open by clicking that bottom button. So I typically start here, do a full lap of the outside of the vehicle, then I'll start inside at the back and work my way forwards. There's a toolkit underneath here. We need a flat-headed screwdriver just to get to that. But if you spin this round, vehicle toolkit is under there. Bonnet release is down at the front just here, and underneath your passenger seat, by pulling down on the two grey toggles, it's going to give you access to the leisure batteries for the vehicle. So both, they're located under there. Obviously, nice and easy to get to still. But obviously, nice twin tone leather. You got some seat adjustments here. You got the lap raiser. You got the adjustment of how vertical you go, and obviously your seat height as well. And the swivel mechanism on these particular ones are around this side, being the red lever, pulling that back towards you and swiveling the chair simultaneously will then obviously swivel it round into the rear lounge space. Now, opening this up, as you can see, we need to have the door open to access the diesel fill up. It is just a spin and go release, no key required, but obviously because it's behind the passenger locked door, that technically does need a key to get to it, as right now you cannot access the diesel. Round at the front to gain access under the bonnet, quick search for the bonnet lever. There we go, just to the left of the Mercedes badge there. So lifting that up, the bonnet will then hold itself up there. So oil top up is just here. Then you've got your windscreen wash. That is your pollen filter, which goes it obviously sucks nice and easy to get to as well, by the way. That's obviously going to filter all the pollen through before it goes through your air conditioning system. AdBlue fill up down at the front. Now, when filling up your AdBlue, always make sure to use a fresh, clean nozzle. We don't want any of those evaporated AdBlue salts getting into there. We've got the coolant. We've got the steering fluid just back here as well. If we push this shroud back just here, it exposes the metal piece. Now that is connected to the positive terminal on your vehicle battery. And then, so if you ever had to jump start the vehicle, you put your red clip onto there. And then the black clip, you just want to find somewhere that's earthed on the vehicle, which could be any of the chassis mounts or things like that. And that's, well, this would be a good example over here. Something like this to put your black onto for any form of charging or jump starting. But yeah, underneath the bonnet, there's your quick points there, obviously, to keep an eye on. You obviously want to top your oil up now and again if you're doing the big long journeys, because your dipstick's just down here. So before you go, if you're doing a couple of thousand miles, just make sure your oil's okay. It's a nice colour, it's at a nice level. And if you do need any top ups, that is where that can be done. Coming round to the side then, I've got a couple of things open and ready to make my life a little bit easier on the handover video. So this is just some storage underneath here. This is underneath your lounge bench seat. And then underneath in this wet locker is where your, God, words are getting away from me, your submersible pump fitting. So basically what that is that fits into this slot here. So this is how we fill the motorhome up with your traditional hose pipe. But if you'd like your rallies and things like that, I'll just get this bag open, because in here is the same attachment as what you get on the end of your submersible pump. So I'll put that away in there. So to fit this, we simply slide up and push straight on like so, and then you connect your hose pipe into there, or you connect your big barrel of water into there, or what you do is you have your submersible pump on the end of this instead of this hose pipe fitting, which goes into a barrel of water, and you can go inside and click a button and that will then suck that water on board. But just wanted to show you how that fitted and went on. So filling up the water then, I will just go now and turn on the hose pipe so it starts filling as we're talking, and then I can obviously go inside and get that, check on the levels to ensure that we're not overfilling the tanks. So that's the hose pipe on now, filling the vehicle up, and as we continue around the outside, I'll then turn it off before we head inside to make sure, obviously, we're not overfilling the tanks. To the right hand side of your locker, you've got a gas barbecue point. Now basically you get a little brass fitting connector on your Cadac that shoves into this slot at the bottom of here, and then once it's in, you turn this tap and that will then allow gas from your underslung gas tanks to the Cadac so you can cook. This hook up here, this plug-in, sorry, will only ever be powered when the vehicle is hooked up to electric, and that is because it's a 13 amp socket, too high powered to run off the battery. The electric step switch is inside, just through the porch, just here. which puts the step in and out. You just press it once and it does each direction. Round to the back, you've got your parking sensors. Obviously, you've got your ladder to get up to the roof, which is tie wrapped up to stop it rattling around. If you cut them off, obviously it'll swing down, access to the roof. That is access to your stabiliser winding mechanism, and your stabilisers can be seen just there, along with your wastewater. So this tap just here is there because every time we're done using the motorhome, we should be draining all the wastewater off. And so to do that, I just want you to turn this tap at the end just here, and it will then trickle out. Up at the top, you do have a reverse camera, which is fixed. Just be careful when jet washing the vehicle. We don't want to get too close to that. Now, round this side, a little bit less, we've got the toilet cassette, which I'm sure you know and already have got on with quite fine. We've got the hookup point with a little release clip just there, so you have to push that lever down before removing the hookup. Now, that's going to power things in the vehicle, such as the fridge. If you've got an electric hob, that's going to power that, the boiler, the heater, and all your sockets around there and your microwave. So obviously a lot of people do say having the hookup gives you all the freedom with the motorhome and makes you get the best out of it. Now obviously this vehicle will work really well on the battery with the solar there as well, so I don't believe that to that extent, but I do understand it. So having the hookup, charging the batteries up and having that there is going to obviously allow you to use more appliances. This here is just for when you're heating and hot water's on gas. If any of those appliances are running on gas, basically, when you turn your heat on at home, the steam comes out the side of your house. This is exactly the same thing. It's just an exhaust for the heater. Next, you have a max viewpoint. So what this is essentially, so if you're on a campsite that's got a big satellite dish, and you have a little service pitch with a post and the satellite plug-in, you can plug a satellite cable into there, and the satellite points that may be in the vehicle buried around will then become live with satellite TV, courtesy of the campsite. And this just here is your external shower point. Now, this is one of the better ones you can get because, as you noticed, it's got a hot and cold feed, so it's a mixer tap. A lot of them are just cold water straight from the water tank, but this will supply you with hot water from your boiler as well if you've got your boiler on, so we can clean things down before packing them away in the motorhome. And again, push in, turn left. If you go all the way left, you've got hot water. Up to the top, you've got cold water, and in between is lukewarm. To open these flaps, we need to push our thumbs in the square, and it will release the edges. If you just pull, it's going to break it, so push in the square and lift. Here we have the refillable gas system. Now to fill it up, we push in, turn, and it springs out. You then fit your device onto there, click the button on the machine, fills up, and it'll click when it is full. Always make sure that the bung is on. And below here, you've got your gas connection point. Now basically, this gas system is an underslung tank which is just here. Now the gas won't move around the vehicle unless it's called for, but you do also have a gas shut-off valve just in case. If I was you, I'd be turning the shut-off valve off every time before you travel. Just be belt and braces with it. Obviously, the more you do, the safer you are. And that is just here. Do you see that there? This fitting here looks like the top of a gas bottle that I'm pointing to with my thumb. We can turn that left and right to open and close. And it has a simple cover that simply hooks on at the top and pushes down with this lid at the bottom, and that grants you access to obviously your gas. And there's your gas tank just there, so it's all regulated, but that's how you can fully isolate it. And again, I always would just be that belt and braces. The more you do, the less concern you need to have when traveling. Let's have a quick look. There we go. We've got the air suspension here as well, just noticed that. So it says rear right and rear left. Quite literally, pump on there, push in the little valve, just like a bicycle tyre or a car tyre, and that's going to raise the suspension on either side and stiffen it up on the back left and back right. Because the Winchcombe, like a lot of motorhomes, has a good overhang, it's good to keep it stiff and obviously going. Now I'm just going to turn the water off. We've done the final lap of the outside. That tank should have enough in by now, I'd have thought. So I'll turn that off. It'll have enough in for me to show you what I want to do anyhow, which is always good. Right, so we've done the lap around the outside, showed you those points just there. Up at the top here, you've got your Thule Omnister awning, which is quite self-explanatory on how to obviously do that. Obviously, I can't really do that and have the phone in my hand at the same time, unfortunately. But coming into the motorhome, I should just place your keys on the side because we no longer require those. The water should be not full, but near enough. So I'm going to go onto the control panel. So what we've got, I'll turn that off and I'll turn that off. That is how you're going to enter this motorhome. Now, when you come in, turn this on to wake everything up. This here is your water pump on and off switch. This here is your main lights on and off switch. And this here is your awning light on and off switch. So the first 4 are just switches. This here is day and night mode, which is basically like dimming the lights at night time. This here is battery swap, so we can swap between the vehicle and leisure battery. Not only for, say for instance, if yours really ran out of power on your leisure, you can come here, click this onto the vehicle and borrow a bit of power off your vehicle battery for the night. But not only does it select the battery to power the vehicle, but it also charges whichever battery you select. So if you've got the vehicle and fortunate enough to have it on your driveway, what you can do is just flick it off from vehicle to leisure, so you're charging each one. And this here is your tank heaters. So clicking that is now going to do your tank heaters for your wastewater tank. Because that's underslung and exposed to the elements, it's just going to stop that water freezing, but it will not warm it up. So just to reiterate, on and off, water pump on and off, which I can see now we've actually got water in the tank, so I can turn that on. And then we've got main light switch, awning light switch, day and night mode, battery swap, and tank heaters. These 3 here are how I'm going to cycle through the settings. I'm just going to turn it off while it's filling the boiler, because it's quite noisy while I'm trying to talk. But if basically this is the big setting screen. So this is the one you want up most of the time, because it's going to tell us how much power we've got in the vehicle battery, how much is in the leisure, how much in the fresh tank, and how much is in the wastewater tank. So we can keep an eye on all the levels. This up here is the temperature. This is telling us that the vehicle's powered and hooked up with the mains hookup lead at the time of day. Then you've got the external temperature, so internal and external. If I click this down arrow, it then just shows me the leisure battery power. So what kind of amp hour capacity we've got on the battery, the solar amps that are coming into the battery, how much we're drawing, and how much is currently in the battery voltage wise. Go again, and you basically, this here is where we can set the clock, set the alarms, set the date and time for timers. And doing that, we just need to click this one here, and by clicking the middle button, we can cycle through this menu. If I click down again, we can keep this as the lock screen, so it just shows the time constantly. This is the home screen, which tells us the normal information I've just gone through with, and also the panel number and update version. And then you're back to this here. Now what you'll notice, if I click this in just here, we're now on the vehicle battery, because rather than showing me leisure, L for leisure, it's showing me V for vehicle. If I click it again, back to leisure. So that is how you use the control panel. You've got a door fly blind just here, a light switch just here for the over unit LEDs. The hob itself, I like the touch, keep it nice and quiet, don't like vibrations. This lifts up, and as you already, I'm sure, are aware how to light a hob, I'm just going to remove this quickly. I will put that back for you as well. But as you know, obviously it's a push and twist, apart from your electric, which you just spin like so. The rest of them we push in. You click the igniter, which is just there, pushing in there, release it like so, and you get your hobs lit. This one's for your grill, which is that one. Again, up to the top to turn off. And then dropping this down will then show you that this one here, which I should be able to do with one hand, is for the oven. There we go. You should be able to see that just behind the guard. And again, to turn off up to the top. For your front right hob, you want to do this one here, which will light that one. And for your front back right hob, it's just that one there, and that'll get that one nice and lit. Underneath the kitchen, you've got some storage in the top of your wheel arch and the plug-in for the actual oven itself and the igniter. In here, we've just got storage on the other side of the wheel arch. We've got 2 drawers, extendable worktops, which will lock into place. We've got another large cupboard to the right, which you can see just there, and another storage drawer just here. Now, the extractor fan, we can have slow, high, off in the middle, lots of lights, not many lights, and off in the middle. So you've got your different settings on your extractor just there. Above here, I did double check these before doing the video. I don't believe there's actually anything to show you in these high level lockers as I move down the motorhome. I believe they are all for you to fill up with storage. Now to turn these lights on and off, the switch is just here on the base. To turn these lights on and off, the switch is just there on the base. Just wondering now, I'll get the pump running. Just make sure, I just did check to make sure all the taps were down, so I'm not going to get any running water. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly switch the boiler on eco mode, on gas and electric. They're both running together. And then once you've turned your boiler on, which I'm going to show you how to do in a minute, we need to purge the water through. So lifting up the tap like so until we get a steady flow of water. Seems to be now. It's not really full. It needs. That's the cold side. Look, getting a bit of bubbling out there, building up that pressure, getting more and more, getting the airlocks out of that system. And the hot side, you're going to have a little bit less pressure because that's currently trying to fill the boiler up as we speak. But as long as you've got a solid flow of water, your full water system's primed. If you can hear your pump running like I can, it's because the boiler was empty and it is now filling up. Obviously, sometimes you do need to run your hot water till you get that stream of flow in order for the pump to fill your boiler up. So always have to turn the boiler on, give it a quick flick like so, get that water through, and you can hear now the pump has fully stopped, so that boiler has now been filled and will be warming as we speak. Turn the lights on in the central walkway. We simply tap the center of the light with the finger. This is the only way to switch them on and off. Underneath here is all storage that you can see visibly from the outside. You do have two storage compartments up at the top as well. In the cab, so that's your stabilizer winder there, sorry about that. You've got a little paper clip. Obviously, you've got all your normal workings: heat the windscreen, or air conditioning, ventilate the air inside, fan speeds, twist this for your temperature, and twist this so it can come out the windscreen in the middle or down at your feet. You've got lane keep assist just there, central locking. This one here is for traction control. This one here is a heat booster. Now, because this Mercedes chassis has been converted to a motorhome, it knows that the heaters in those cab, when you have them on hot, is only really made to warm a cab up that size, stopping here. Because you've got all this space around the back, essentially, if you click that button, it basically sends more power to the heater in the cab, so it's stronger, basically, and makes the whole motorhome warmer. So we can obviously use that for warming up as well. Down to the right of your steering wheel, by the way, sorry, this is just entrance light on and off. Down to the right steering wheel, when you've got your ignition on, this will always display how much gas is in your underslung gas tank, so you can always know how much gas you've got whilst driving around, so you know if you need to stop, pull over and get some more before you carry on. On the right hand side, wasn't expecting that, didn't check that cupboard too far, could have pushed back. You've got a little cushion there and some curtains or some little on some clips. Same again, some little anti-slip mats. And then in here, we have your TV aerial booster. Now, you'll have something very similar to this in the loft of your own house. Turn it on, pull that switch down, turn it off, push it up. Basically, one of these cables goes to an aerial on the roof, and the other goes to the TV point, which I do believe is just there in the cupboard. And below that one there is your satellite point. So if you plugged onto that satellite point outside on a campsite and plugged onto there, you'd be using the campsite satellite TV. This socket will work off the batteries, it's a 12-volt socket, and this socket will work off the mains hookup lead because it's a 13-amp socket. This USB is 12-volt and will work off the leisure battery. Now, just while we're in the area, I'm just going to make sure there's nothing else here before I move on to the heating and hot water. So what we've got here is, as it says in the tin, waste tank heater isolator switch. So we can switch that on and off, which is another tank heater essentially. You do need to have it switched on there and on here simultaneously for your tank heaters to work. And what you're going to notice, I mean, first and foremost, I'll just drop these down. These are your fuses, so you've got all your inline fuses, and in your book packs, you'll have a labeled diagram telling you exactly which one of these fuses does what. So one's going to be like the igniter, one's going to be like auxiliary, which is like the speakers in the vehicle, one's going to be the lighting circuit, you've got your water pump and things like that. Anything that you can work off battery has a fuse on this side. Anything you can work off a mains hookup lead has a fuse on this side. So basically what you've probably got is heater, boiler, hob, something along those lines, or fridge. Above that, you've also got your charger. This just needs to stay as it is. We do say to people, try not to put too much around the charger. If you fill this cupboard up with stuff and it hasn't got room to breathe, it may overheat and obviously break itself. At the top of your fuse board, this section here, we've got some various selection of switches. Now, this, again, this is just like, you know, at home next to your hob, you've got a little switch on the wall that turns on and off your hobs. Well, this is exactly the same. If I push that button in and out, it's going to isolate the space heater and the water heater, which is your boiler and your heater, for electric. So if I click those two in and turn them off so the lights aren't on, I won't be able to use the boiler and heater on electric, only gas. Your charger, which is that there, which is switched with this one just here. You can see the lights go on and off by switching that. And this will come up if you go to a campsite and plug into the hookup lead. Say you've got a brand new hookup lead, something faulty with the hookup lead, it's been wired up wrong, this light will come on. And here we've got 4 buttons, which you already know are on the control panel and how they operate. Now, essentially, the reason they've got them is because if the control panel ever fails and breaks, you can always come here and control your motorhome and what you need to. So we can swap the battery from leisure to vehicle, we can turn the lights off, the water pump off, and the main system. This button here, we should be clicking. So if you have gone away for 2 weeks and park up and put the vehicle on the driveway, and you're just going to have it on charge, absolutely fine, leave everything on. But if you're going to put it into storage or have it on the drive not hooked up, what we need to do is need to come in and click this button. So no power can be drawn from the battery, because everything has to go through this Sergeant unit essentially. So by clicking that, no power can be drawn off of your batteries whilst the vehicle's parked, which obviously things like clocks on your control panel will still continue to run and things like that. So that's just going to limit your battery getting low. Underneath here, you have a safe on the right hand side. We've got another socket that will work when the vehicle's plugged in. And we've also got some inline fuses. Again, you can see one's for the fridge. We've got the door lock for remote locking, marker lights, tow-in, vehicle battery, another fridge one, and another tow-in one. So they're all labelled up ready for you to go. So there's some there that are part of the chassis, but the reason this is here is because this comes from the vehicle battery. So this is your fuses from the vehicle battery. Now the reason the fridge is on there is because on your fridge you do have the vehicle battery settings, so that when the vehicle's running, the alternator charges the vehicle battery, which provides it with just enough power to power the fridge while you're driving. So that's why that's on here, not to complicate anything on purpose, but that's why this is on the vehicle side of things. And that's why also on there we've got stuff like the tow-in electrics that are down there, the remote central locking for the rear door lock as well. Now the reason I've got these up in situ is because under here is your boiler. Again, another socket here that will work when the vehicle's hooked up. Here we've got 3 gas isolation taps. The top one here with the snowflake is for your fridge. That's for your heater and boiler. And that is for your oven and hobs. You do have the Truma Combi 6E, which is the highest powered Truma Combi system you could get on the vehicle for this year. So a very, very good one. And just down to the right of it is your boiler drain valve. Now, what I'm going to try and do is prop up that on my leg so that I can twist this dial here, and that is now draining the boiler. But out the back, what you'll be able to see is a little blue button down at the bottom there. So what I need to do to shut it off is twist that back and push the blue button in at the base. Now the reason there's a blue diamond and a blue button is because that is an automatic thermostatic cut-off valve, which in normal everyday terms just means if under this bench and near that boiler down there gets to anywhere less than 4 degrees Celsius, that black tap is going to pop itself open and drain your boiler. Now the reason it does that is to stop the water freezing inside the boiler, potentially expanding and cracking the inner surface, so it's just protecting you. But what you will need to do to reset it, we need to turn the blue diamond back to close it off, and always push the blue button in, which is down at the back of the actual tap itself. Right, so on to the heating and hot water next, before we get to the fridge, microwave, and a couple of switching positions into the back. So you've got the Truma iNet system, very, very good system, very, very user-friendly. This is just dark screen mode, and above this black line I can see it's 42 minutes past 11. We've got the hot water running on eco, on gas, and 2 kilowatts of electric because there's 2 lightning bolts. This little plug here is the exact same as the electric lightning bolt on your control panel. It's just telling you that the vehicle's hooked up to mains and it's powered. Because if that wasn't there, you won't be able to use your electric. If that's showing, it's saying, yep, I'm ready for you to use electric. So to wake it up, tap in the dial. And the first setting is a motorhome with a thermometer in, which is air temperature, obviously. We click that and we simply twist this dial to the right or left to choose the chosen air temperature. So I'm going to set it at 29 degrees. Your next one's some water with thermometer, which is your water temperature. Eco, hot and boost. Eco is 40 degrees hot water and gets there slowly. Hot is 70 degrees hot water and gets there faster. And boost is 70 degrees hot water, but what it does is it borrows power from your heating to boost the water so it gets hot really fast. So for the sake of demonstration, we'll leave it on hot. Next to that, so you've chosen your air temperature, you've chosen your water temperature. We then need to tell the Truma iNet system, okay, how do you want me to power? What do you want me to use as fuel? If we're wild camping and have no electric hookup, we can use gas on its own, which will then a bottle appears above the black line on its own. If I want to use gas and 1 kilowatt of electric, I select mix 1. If I want to use gas and 2 kilowatts of electric, I select mix 2. Now obviously gas and electric both simultaneously run together, whether it's 1 or 2 kilowatt, are your 2 highest power settings. If you are on a campsite and you don't want to use gas, you can always use 1 kilowatt of electric to power it, or we can use electric 2, which is 2 kilowatts to power it. You'll notice the gas bottle has now disappeared. And that's because that'll be running sheerly on electric and electric only, saving you your gas. For the sake of demonstration, I always run on mix 2 to show both systems working together. And at the end we have a fan. So yeah, you've turned your heating on, but how fast do you want me to fan it around the motorhome? Steadily or quickly? Eco and high. You'll notice 1 and 2 fan blades lighting up on the fan. So if I click back now, I can tell you we've set the heating to 29 degrees Celsius and the heating's on because the flame's there on the top left. It's 1:45. It is also, we've got the water on hot, which is 70 degrees hot water. And I'm running it off gas with 2 kilowatts of electric on a high fan speed because 2 fans blades are lit up. So we can tell that just by sitting and seeing it on the screen. Clicking the button to reopen it back up, I can then scroll my dial. Once I get to here, it then drops down to here. This is just a timer, so I can set it for 3 hours, and then everything above there will turn off after 3 hours. This is a daily event timer where I can set exactly, so if you're on a campsite for 3 weeks, you'd be as well, set that to 7:30 every morning, so that at 7:30 your heating's going to come on at 29 degrees, the water's going to come on for 70 degrees, run on gas and 2 kilowatts of electric on a 2 fan speed, and that's going to come on at 7:30 every day if you click that button in now, and that will then mean that it'll be nice and warm for when you wake up. Clicking back at the bottom left, I can then get back to the main screen and show you into this one here, which is the settings. Offset, so that's internal to external temperature. On temperature, we can select between centigrade and Fahrenheit. The brightness of the screen, you can have it up to 10, down to 1, depending on how much battery you want to use. You've got what hour clock you wish to use, the language you want to read in, and the index to tell you all about this panel, and then the reset button right at the very end. So the reset will only ever reset the panel. It won't actually reset the boiler, it just resets this panel. So if you've got a little warning light on here, you'll get a little triangle with an exclamation mark in, and on this screen it'll give you an error code. So if that ever comes up and you've run out of gas, for instance, it'll say E45H. What you'll need to do is refill your gas up. Oh, that fan speed's kicking up, I'm going to have to turn that down. You're going to have to pick your gas up, fill that up, and then what you're going to do is once you've filled your gas up, you're still going to have the triangle on there, so you're going to have to reset the system. That's blowing out almightily quick now, and I'm sorry, but it's absolutely red hot today. I am going to have to turn that off, it's already making me sweat. So I'm going to turn that off by returning the dial down to 0. I click the heating, spun left so it says off, and now it's just shut off, thankfully, because that was just blowing right out onto my leg and making me sweat instantly. That was jam hot. So this here is your thermostat that's going to measure the temperature in the vehicle. So if you set your heating to 29 and it gets to 29, that's going to tell it and shut it off so it's not constantly running. And then your microwave, this is just storage. Your microwave is isolated here. Well, it's just a microwave really, start and go, stop, clear. That's all I really know about microwaves, I'm afraid, guys. In here is your stowaway table. You've got your towel rail holder just in here. I don't know. Oh, there's a little latch on it. Obviously, you need to unclick. Carbon monoxide alarm and smoke detector there as well. To operate your fridge, we click this button here to turn it on. And A stands for automatic. So you've got 3 modes: hookup, battery, and gas. Now, automatic will always choose the hookup first, which is your mains lead. If you're wild camping and don't have the vehicle plugged in, it will then go to gas. And if you turn your gas off and turn the engine on, it will then go to vehicle. Now, the vehicle battery will never reduce the temperature of this fridge. What it does is it maintains whatever temperature it was before you set off. So if you only had this on for 10 minutes, then put it onto battery and drive somewhere, it's not going to be getting any colder on that 3-hour journey you're about to embark on. It's just going to stay whatever temperature it was when you managed to put it on for 10 minutes before you set off. So really, before you set off, we need to turn this fridge on. If it's on your drive and you've got a hookup lead, brilliant, use it on the hookup and spend an hour getting it cold before you set off and inevitably put it onto battery. If you haven't got the luxury of a hookup, you run it up on the gas by clicking that square on the left until the gas symbol comes on, and then the fridge will light itself on gas. Run it for an hour, and then obviously you're ready then to move it over to this section here, which is the battery. If you turn the engine on now, the lights will stop flashing and the vehicle can drive, and it's going to maintain that temperature for us. It's obviously giving us spanner in 6, which is fault code 6. There's no power from the battery being sent to the fridge is what it's telling me. We'll put it straight onto gas, the fault code clears because we're back onto that fuel source. To change the temperature of the fridge, we click this button here, and this here turns the heated seals on and off. So that's off and that is on. And what I mean by that, it's got the lock on the fridge, hasn't it? get the lock off. So what that means is these seals here have little heaters in them. The reason for it is because the freezer gets very cold and the fridge gets very cold. And in history, these seals have bonded themselves to this outer casing. And when you open the fridge, it has torn them. So what they actually did, Thetford, is created heated seals. So them seals will always be warmed up, so they'll never ever just stick to the fridge. Right. That into the bathroom then. So in the bathroom, we've got some nice running water. We've got the mirror light just here. We've got running water coming through hot and cold, nice. Now I've got the system filled up and the boiler on, which is all well and good. Underneath, we do have some storage, which are on little release clips, so no actual buttons to press, just pull them open. Unlike the drawers, whereas you've got the button to release them. In the wardrobe, you've got a table with the leg and what seems to be now, I thought it was an umbrella holder, a brush holder. I like your thinking though, good idea. Stops it rattling around with a little net around it. And your TV aerial. So this is the aerial that eventually goes to that booster in the other locker. Now to get the best picture, you need to loosen this off, which is lefty-loosey, so I don't know how I'm spinning it right. And we need to push the aerial up into position, making sure this silver bit is touching the bottom of here. The higher the aerial, the better signal you're going to get. The light switch will open and close, will turn off and on as the door opens and closes. Again, to turn these lights on, switch here. To turn this one on, switch here, which will turn the extractor fan on also. And then your toilet. Your toilet is the fixed toilet, which is the most desirable as it's the comfiest, widest and the strongest. To open the black disc, spin that round. To flush the toilet, click that. And obviously to remove, do so. It does have a little toilet seat you can lift up as well. This will not flush unless your water pump is turned on. So if you park up in traffic, turn your control panel on, turn your water pump on before you use the toilet. And then we have a nice little stowaway point just there, which is perfectly located, obviously for keeping your toilet rolls in, as you've seen. But that's your handover video, guys. Just so you know, this is your fresh water tap as well. Just finally, open and close this tap with, where is it? The lever on the front. So spinning it, I've got it semi-open at the moment. Struggling with one hand. That closes it off, and spinning it horizontal drains it. So I just had it half open by accident, so it's draining some of the fresh water out. But yeah, that's how you empty your fresh tank as well. So all in all, guys, hope you've enjoyed the video. Sorry, obviously I can't get the awning out because I've only got the one hand, but hope you've enjoyed it. Should show you everything that you need to know on the Autosleeper Winchcombe and how to use it so you get the very best out of it. Enjoy the motorhome, guys.